first and foremost, it's about our travels. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget that, especially when they're in content creation, is to enjoy what you're so lucky to be able to do first. And then that joy will spread over into your content too.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Jim Nelson. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Hi there, Jim here at RV Life, back for another ride on the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. Are you fitting enough adventure into your travels? With so much adventure out there on the road, as full-time RVers, we tend to have the leisure of fitting our life into the adventures, rather than squeezing it all into short trips. But leisure, I know, that's funny, because I certainly know how much hard work it takes to enjoy all those fun adventures we see. That's why I'm excited to share my discussion with Angela and Vince from Fitting in Adventure. Since 2019, Angela and Vince have been seeking adventure and fitting it into their full-time RV life and the content they create to help others discover the many oddball attractions and adventurous experiences often overlooked. But what is adventure? What makes an experience adventurous? Spoiler alert, it doesn't have to involve bungee jumping or extreme sports. I believe any truly memorable adventure must involve a certain amount of uncertainty. Angela and Vince agree it entails stepping outside of your comfort zone. And having just spent winter in Alaska, that pretty much sums up some of the adventures we had quite well. But it might also help you discover a worm festival or the best Cuban sandwich in the back of a laundromat. What really drew me to Fitting in Adventure is their low-key approach to content creation. I then discovered Angela and I have some common history with our marketing backgrounds. So we discuss, what is digital marketing and how has it evolved over the years? One thing is certain, Angela is breaking the rules when it comes to content creation. We talk about the trend of thumbnail A/B testing and chasing the algorithms with all the things you're supposed to be doing with your content creation if you're going to do it right. But you'll find a different approach on the Fitting in Adventure channel, and that comes back to following your passion and letting your tribe find you. I'll add, it includes fulfilling your purpose and serving others, and that's exactly what Angela and Vince are doing with the content they create, and they share some great advice. So hang on as we fit in some adventure right now after this quick message about coping with poor internet due to weak cell service. We've all been there. So consider the King Extend Pro 5G Cell Signal Booster, the ultimate solution for boosting your cell signal on the road. Perfect for RVs, trucks, and trailers, the King Extend Pro enhances voice and data coverage for all U.S. carriers. Enjoy better connectivity wherever you're parked or on the move with no contracts or monthly fees. Use the King Extend Pro Plus model and enjoy double the boosting power with a second set of antennas. Enjoy the mobile RV lifestyle while staying connected with 5G-ready technology and versatile mounting options. For more information, visit kingconnect.com. and see why King has been an RV connectivity leader for over 2 decades. Podcast listeners can save 15% with code RVE2024 at checkout. Now, on with the show. Angela, Vince, thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad we're getting this chance to talk.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. This is technically the RV Life Entrepreneur Podcast, so I tend to start all of my guests off with a quick get to know you. When were you two introduced to the RV life? How might that have changed now?
Oh, it goes way back for me.
Good.
way back. My family always went down to Port Aransas, Texas to camp for the summers. And I was probably 7, 8 years old when I first saw an RV, and it was like, that's what I want. I don't want any of this tent stuff. That's what I want. And my parents joked that I always said I just wanted to get in an RV and just travel and not have to go home. And just, if I see somewhere else to go. And, they kind of laughed at me back in those early 80s and everything when I was saying this and as a child, and said, yeah, well, that's not really possible, but now it is because of the internet. So we started talking in 2018 that we both wanted an RV. and got our first travel trailer. And that lasted us until actually last November when we got our fifth wheel that we have now, which is Alliance fifth wheel. And we decided to go full-time RV in 2020, sold a house in Vegas, and said we were going to travel until we got tired of being in the travel trailer because it was small, and then buy a small home base on the Florida Gulf Coast. Everything that happened in 2020 happened, and we kind of took a step back and said maybe we should have a place to go so we don't end up living in somebody's driveway. And so we went ahead and went and got the home base at that point, and still traveled. We were out, what would you say, probably at least half the time.
Yeah, probably about 6-7 months a year we would be out traveling around, broken up, of course. So we were only back at the home base for a couple weeks here, maybe a month there. So we were actually down in Key West, and
I poured a whiskey and I said, let's talk. This is ridiculous that we're paying for this while we're out of it most of the time. It's kind of a tether. We feel like we have to go back and check on it. Let's just go ahead and sell it while the market's still good, because it was still good then in the Tampa Bay area where we were. And let's get a bigger unit, one that we really want. Obviously we had to get a new truck then too. And let's just go for it full time. So we've been full time since it was last September that
just about a year now.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That sounds very similar. It reminds me of when my wife sat me down 17 years ago and said, I got an idea. And next thing you know, we hit the road. But we weren't retired by any means. So tell me what it means to you to be an entrepreneur. What is entrepreneurism all about?
You want to go ahead and first? And so this is Vince's first run with it.
Yeah. I'm former military. I retired from the Air Force. So I was never an entrepreneur, right? I had well, maybe not a typical job. I mean, it was military. But I mean, I had a boss. I wasn't my own boss and all that. So this is all new to me. I'm kind of just winging it and following Angela's lead.
So this isn't my first time with entrepreneur. I've been a freelance marketing consultant for years, full time since 2009. So, and I actually just retired, about a year ago too? A little over a year ago.
Yeah, about a year and a half maybe.
So I retired from that and gave up the last of my clients at that point, and decided to do this because we need to keep our minds fresh. We feel like, so that helps, the writing and the video editing and everything helps to keep the minds fresh. And it also, there's so many stories out there that need to be told that aren't being told, that's what our purpose of all this is really to do. We kind of share what we want. We're not chasing the algorithms that a lot of people are chasing on YouTube. So, if we have a rough day, we might not share it because I just don't feel like getting out the video camera. It'd probably do great on YouTube and everything, but we might just skip that because first and foremost, it's about our travels. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget that, especially when they're in content creation, is to enjoy what you're so lucky to be able to do first. And then that joy will spread over into your content too. If you maintain that joy and don't get the burnout and everything of, oh my God, I have to get this video out this week and I need another one for next week. And what am I going to use and everything, and just enjoy the time that you're there, then that carries over. And it's that joy that people really want to see. All of this content creation and YouTube and blogs and everything like that is all about people enjoy the passion that you have for whatever topic you're sharing. That's why there's people on there that make entire YouTube channels off of, here's movie locations, shoot locations. And it's like, how can they possibly do this again and again? But it's their passion. So that's what I hope we're really sharing, is our passion for learning about all these places and things like that too.
That's great. And I think it shows in the work you're doing. And it's one of the things that really got me intrigued about what you're doing and how are you doing it. And you said some things there that I really want to dive into, especially about chasing that algorithm and such. But in our discussions, I kind of got the feeling that both of us have been around in marketing quite a long time. And I wanted to talk about digital marketing that you mentioned recently in one of the groups online and how that might have evolved. So when I was a Silicon manager during the .com heydays, digital marketing was the thing. And it was a term. And at the time it was like banners on websites and maybe some partnership advertising and that sort of thing, and e-commerce. But how has digital marketing evolved? What do you think it means these days? I mean, there's content creation and sponsored content and affiliate marketing. What is digital marketing, Angela?
Well, that's a big subject now, because it's not optional anymore, for sure. You're going to just do it. There's not a business out there that doesn't need some form of digital marketing. But that's a big question.
It's all digital now, right? I mean, at the time it wasn't.
It's all digital. It's there's so many different parts of digital. When I went through school, it was the 4 P's of marketing, and digital just kind of blew that up. And that, I'll bet you could probably find 50 of them now, if you really broke it down into what it was. And so it is requirement. It is definitely something that I think that everybody thinks they can do, but few do well. Because I think everybody thinks they can, well, I have a Facebook, I can do this, I'll start your business page. And few really do it well, because so many forget that it's still about a marketing message. And those basics of marketing still apply. And I think that gets overlooked by a lot. Some people get lucky because their passion still shows through, and some don't. But I don't think I answered your question.
You did, in a way, but I'd like to, broaden this a bit and step back and say, what are those basics? What does it take to do marketing well now in this digital age?
Being human. It's not just about a tagline anymore. It is the conversation. It is not just the push of information towards other people, but it's the conversation that you're having. And I think that's the biggest thing that so many people miss, especially the bigger companies. When they start doing digital marketing, they miss that conversation, because the higher ups are worried that usually the lower level marketing person that they've put on social media and digital marketing, because they're the younger person that understands it more. They don't want to give as much freedom to that person, or there's standards that have to be followed and everything, and you use that human aspect. And I think that's why content creators and YouTubers and bloggers and everything do have so much success when they find it, is that they are their brand. They are everything. And so they don't have to answer to, why'd you post this, and what's the purpose behind this. They are the personality, and people connect with that, and their tribe finds them.
You mentioned the conversation and the messaging, and I think that all comes back to something that keeps coming up on many of my interviews, and that is engagement with the audience and making connections. And these platforms make it more possible to do that. You also mentioned purpose, and Vince, tell me about the name Fitting in Adventure and how that relates to what you guys are doing.
Well, back when we started this, we talked about how obviously we started in 2018, and we didn't both, Angela retired about a year and a half ago, but we didn't go really into it until 2020. So in those 2 years prior, we had to literally fit adventure in, like, on the weekends and on holiday weekends and all. So it was literally about taking the opportunity that you have, whether it's a day here, a week here, vacation time, and fitting it into your life. There's so much adventure out there. There's so much to see in the country, everywhere. You just have to make time for it. You got to fit it into your daily life. So that's where the name Fitting in Adventure evolved from, just fitting it into what you already have. Now, we've been fortunate enough that we are able to do this full time, so we don't have to fit it in like some other people might have to.
But it's still, I think it still fits in that. I think that if you take a stationary sticks and bricks person, they completely forget what's in their own backyard. That's like, we lived in Vegas when we were still sticks and bricks. And, people would be like, how often do you go to the Strip? We actually did, because we went to a lot of shows and things like that. But our neighbors, our other friends and everything didn't really ever go down there, and it's literally a location that people travel across the globe to see, and the things down there to do, and I think that every place has that. I've lived in several places that are kind of tourism driven, Santa Fe, New Mexico being one of them and everything. And I've always tried to make it a point to know my area and to really respect the opportunities that area gives me. I grew up in Kansas. There's not a whole lot of tourism there and a whole lot of things around there, but I can tell you that everything that is there, I did. I got out and I think too many people go, well, I live in Santa Fe, for instance, and I'll hit the plaza, sometime, but not right now. Or I live in St. Louis and I'll do the Arch someday. And it's like, go do it. If you already live there, it takes an afternoon for most of these things, go do them, respect what's there, and at the very least, you're a great tour guide for the people that come to visit you that do want to do those things then.
I can totally relate to that because Renee and I lived in San Francisco and never did the touristy thing.
Don't let the summer heat dampen your RV adventures. Discover Cool RV's innovative solution for underperforming RV air conditioners. A quick fix at just $84.95 with no shipping cost. Experience a cooler, more comfortable RV with CoolRV.com. That's cool with a K, RV.com. Podcast listeners can save 5% with code RVLife.
And I was looking at the name Fitting in Adventure kind of as a double entendre there. You explained it, Vince, as, fitting adventure into your life, but it's also as if you're fitting your life into all of the adventures out there, kind of like we discovered on the road. Life is full of adventures. We got to go find them and fit into them. So talk to me specifically about what adventure means. What makes an adventure? What makes a good adventure? What does it mean to be adventurous? What is adventure all about?
I think at least a little bit going outside your comfort zone, and maybe not drastically. Like, I am never going to be the one that wants to skydive. That's just that is not in me. But that doesn't mean I don't go outside of my comfort zone with other things, and I still have fun. I try different things. We try new things. It might be as easy as trying a new place to eat or green chili, because I do not like real hot things, but just things like that, and just things that you wouldn't normally do in your everyday life. Just trying something new and being in it for the experience of it.
I can totally agree with that. And, I agree that to be a real adventure, it has to get you out of that comfort zone and you have to get a little uncomfortable. We spent a year in Alaska and we spent winter in Alaska and experienced some of the best adventure of our lives. And it wasn't all comfortable, that's for sure. It's like when we first hit the road, we branded ourselves as live, work, dream, because we were living and working and living the dream. And we went out there to find adventure. But after 15 or so years, we got into this routine and we had become too comfortable. And Renee read a book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. And in there, it kind of explains, you got to get a little uncomfortable to experience life to its fullest. So it sounds like that's what you guys are doing. Do you have a most memorable adventure? I'm sure you've seen a lot by now. What adventures really stick out?
Oh, what one for you?
Well, it doesn't, as many good adventures we had, it doesn't really involve the RV. It was going to both Rome and Greece. Like I said, not RV related, but I mean, just going around and seeing the ancient walled cities. And we took a helicopter. We chartered a helicopter and went and flew above Tuscany. So we've seen those ancient walled cities from the air. And it was literally, we were the only two people in the helicopter other than the guide in the pilot, and it was just amazing. We flew over the Il Duomo in Florence. I mean, the cathedral. It was amazing. When we were in Tahoe, we took another helicopter tour, and the pilot said, "Well, the tour is scheduled to go over Lake Tahoe, but if you'd like, we can go over the backcountry instead."
Absolutely.
Okay. So I swear it seemed like he was so close to those mountaintops you could reach out and grab a scoop full of snow. I mean, it was amazing. But yeah, I mean, so those were a couple of mine.
But I think the RV too, if you just stick to RV, we like to find the oddities too. So our videos, our content isn't about, I mean, we do some some things like these are the things to do in Savannah, but a lot of people do that content. So you can find a lot of different opportunities there. And I hope that when we do it, we kind of dig a little deeper and find something different. But the other thing we also do is, we find the oddball place like Soft Choppy, Florida. And oddball is met with no disrespect there. I think that's what they call it, because there they have the worm grunting festival. And what worm grunting is they drive this rod into the ground and they rub a stick across it that makes a grunting noise, and the worms just kind of come up to the surface. And so we went to that. And, so I think that fits an adventure and definitely a different comfort level, because you're going into this small town where it's very, small town people. And we just talk to everybody there. Another time that stands out is one time we were in Key West and we went to the Chart Room Bar. And if you haven't been to the Chart Room Bar in Key West, you need to look it up. And we've written it up and go to it, because it's a hotel room turned bar that was where Jimmy Buffett got started. And today's Jimmy Buffett Day. Yeah. Or tomorrow. Anyways.
First, I don't know what day that is, but
where Mel Fisher plotted some of his routes to look for the Atocha and everything. And we got to talking to the bartender in there and about all the history. And he brought out logbooks from the 70s and 80s of what was happening, and photo albums that was all Jimmy Buffett and boobs. but photo albums of what was happening back then and everything. And he just started telling us all the old stories, and I'm looking through the logbooks, and it's like, I've lost all control of the chart room tonight, and I made this much money, and, just everything there. And then he's like, oh, you're going to want to talk to this woman walking in right now. And this woman walks in this, Key West type dress, and she's wearing this huge, huge emerald. And it's not cut like it's from a jewelry store or anything. And she was one of Mel Fisher's divers. And that emerald, wow. There was a picture behind the bar that she had brought up and was holding in her teeth when she was younger, when she was diving. And she just told us the stories about being on the boat when they found it and things like that. And I think it's the stories that you can get from other people that is as much an adventure and pushes you out of your comfort zone as anything, and that's, I think, what I love most about travel is the stories that you get and the stories that you learn. It might be as you're walking through a history museum and you're learning about those different stories and the different viewpoints of what somebody in Georgia felt versus somebody in Washington State, about the same topic maybe, so it opens your eyes, and you definitely do grow from travel in general, but it also pushes your boundaries because it pushes your beliefs too,
You just mentioned a lot of things there that kind of surmise adventure, but one that really stuck out to me is the uncertainty. I think to me, to have a real adventure, there's got to be a certain level of unknown and uncertain, whether that be what might happen with certain helicopters that might go over certain places that scare the heck out of you, or people you meet. So it's really the uncertainty that I think really makes adventure.
Oh, I'm not sure the helicopter in Italy had the same levels of checking it out that they have in the ones we've been in here. It was a little rickety.
Maybe a little bit.
We learned that in Spain on motorcycles. You also mentioned some history in there, and I want to know about your particular content creation niche. It looks like you guys kind of focus on some historical content and history of certain areas. How did that develop? Where did that focus come from?
It's what we love. It's where our passion is. So, that really comes to, there's people that just do the foodie tours everywhere, which we love that too. Yeah. But, it's the historical places that is what we love. So that's what we do when we're traveling. And
I think we both grew up as history buffs. And I'm the type, if you take me to a museum, you're probably going to have to pull me out saying it's time to go. It's time to do something else. Because I'll read almost every placard. I'll look at every exhibit. And like she said earlier, that's our passion. So hopefully that comes across in our videos and in our blogs and all of that. And we just love sharing that with everybody else, especially people that might not be able to get to some of the places that we get to. So hopefully they can learn a little about that area through us and our stories.
what really drew me to you guys was it's very clear you have this certain niche that you focus on. And we talk about content creation so much, but I'm really surprised that there are so many, quote, RV content creators out there with no particular niche. I mean, RV content goes the gamut from history to foodie to, how many water pump reviews can you film? So talk to me about the importance of, backing up to our beginning, the messaging. Is it important to have a niche and niche down?
Um, I don't even know that I'd call it so much of as a niche at this point. I think that it is important to know who you are. And that definitely, we know we're not the RV water pump review people. That would, like, doing that content would seem like work. And I don't want it to seem like work. Like, what we do now doesn't seem like work because we have so much passion for it. But water pump reviews would be like a nail in the head to me.
And I think we also look at it as, and the guys, the people that make that content, they're fantastic at it.
Mm-hmm.
But when we watch a lot of these videos, we watch it to see what our RV can do for us.
Yeah.
Taking us to different places, taking us on different adventures, places we can go, things we can see because we have the RV, instead of here's the way to fix your RV, or here's the way to get a product for your RV. And like I said, the people that make that content are fantastic at it.
And we love that content when we have a problem. Yeah. But I don't want to focus on all the when we have a problem. You hope there's no problems. There will be, but you hope there's none. And it's just not what we wanted to focus on. It just wouldn't be fun content for us to make. So thankful for some of them that are out there, though.
We want to show the fun side of RV. This is where you go. This is what you can do. This is what you can see.
We all get
in. You have an RV and you take your home everywhere you go.
We all get into this because of what we wanted to do, where we wanted it to take us, and that's what we like to highlight is that with this lifestyle, it's not about, especially if you're full time, it's not about I've got 2 weeks a year. What can I do in that 2 weeks? It's about Sop Choppy is having this weird little festival. Let's go. Yep. And you can plan your route through there and hit it. We're planning a few other weird little festivals, but I have a whole list of weird little festivals for us to hit.
I totally get it. We love finding that kind of stuff. And I kind of stopped making the water pump review videos long ago. That type of content creation I spent years doing, and it was great. And then, like you said, Vince, there's channels out there that rock it and do it much better than me. So I stay in my lane now. I let those people do that. And, there are that is a way to monetize things because people are searching for something when their water pump breaks, and they're going to find that. But you know what? People also search for what to do in Savannah, Georgia, aside from Clary's and the cemetery. So there's, if we stay in our lanes, we can all, play in this same game. But since we're talking about monetization, what do you guys focus on, or do you? I mean, what I was impressed about your website, it doesn't scream, we make money here, work with us. You have a tiny little buried work with us thing. A lot of creators out there are like big, bold at the top, work with us. So what monetization, if any, do you focus on with your content?
We are very, very fortunate in that he has a retirement. I have investments. And it's like my dad used to say, when you don't have to make the money, it's hard to really put that towards it. We really want to share the content, so I mean, we want it to at least pay for itself, but we don't have to have a huge monetization there. I haven't put ads on the website. There's some affiliate links of products that we actually do use and believe in. Not every product we use is on there because some of them I wouldn't recommend for somebody else to buy. But and then on YouTube itself, it's just the YouTube side of things. It's not to say that if somebody were to contact us and say they wanted to sponsor something or a trip or something, we wouldn't possibly do that depending on the product. But we're not out there pounding the pavement for it. Like I said before, this was my career before, and I didn't want to retire and still feel like it was work. And so I have a completely different outlook on that. I know I'm fortunate to have, in that we don't have to make the money. It'd be nice if we did, but I'm a big believer on your tribe will find you. So I tell everybody, I break every rule. every rule. I'm not so focused on how to get monetized immediately. I am focused on the content, which I think is the number one rule, actually, is to focus on your content over monetization. But as far as, if you were to take the seminars of everybody of how to make money online, I'm breaking every one of their rules. We'll go from soft choppy to, we did a video, we had the chance to ride around with a historian for one of the bases for Camp Blanding, where he talked about how it used to be a German POW camp. And it was over an hour long, I think. And a lot of it was him telling stories and us showing the spots on the base and everything. But it definitely wasn't for everyone, but the people who have found it are like, my grandfather was there and I really appreciated this and things like that. And I'm like, you find your tribe and you find who it is. And if one of our videos only helps a person one time, that's fine too. Those people that were into that video probably aren't going to be interested in what to do in Savannah or whatever else we have coming out, but it was great to help them during that time, so I think we have that ability. And I think more creators could actually benefit from taking a step back, if they at all can financially, and saying, I'm just going to do the content that I want, because that's, again, when that passion comes through. And it's the passion that people are after. There's enough corporate travel guides out there and that sort of thing that are corporate writers that are giving you the information. It's the passion that people want.
And the Camp Landing video that she was talking about with the historian, the person that reached out to us, it like filled in that missing piece of his grandfather's service, not the overseas part, of course, mm-hmm. but where he was before he shipped out, some of the training he did. So it wasn't like of this great importance to him, but it was important because he learned just a little bit more about his grandfather during a time of his life, obviously, that he wasn't alive. And because his grandfather was World War II veteran, I'm sure he's probably already passed. So it's also a way to learn more about him that he can't ask that question. So it was really great to provide that little piece of information for him. So,
and we enjoyed it. Yeah. My grandfather was World War II vet too. He just loves military history. And I learned about my grandfather that day too. And when he actually would have dropped in Normandy, because he was a paratrooper, and quite a bit of information there too. And so, it's, again, those conversations you get to have with people when you're traveling that, kind of our take on it is we like to record those conversations when we can. We have one coming out in November. That's one of the scientists from the Operation Paperclip. And he worked directly with Von Braun and everything. And it was an interesting conversation. Yeah. It was a very interesting conversation. Not going to be for everybody. Definitely not going to be for every RVer. But our passion was there. And, the tribe will find us. It might take longer than if I really focused on algorithms and did chase that and chased what exactly people are searching for, how to set up your RV for the first time and things like that. But I won't be happy making that content. I will be happy making this content longer. We won't get us burned out because we're happy.
And that comes back to following your passion and, more importantly, I believe, pursuing your purpose, because you mentioned some content in there that helps other people. And to have a truly fulfilled life and profitable business, I believe you have to be serving other people and delivering that message to the people who actually need it. So I think that's really showing in the work you do. I look forward to seeing that video. And some of the favorite content I've ever created in our years on the road has been interviews with those oddballs, or those people that you aren't going to meet every day if you don't get out there off the beaten path. And then the greatest fulfillment comes from maybe years later when someone says, that was my granddad. Or, hey, I never knew that about old Perk Vickers. And you connect with those people, even if it's just a few. But how frequently are you producing videos, and why? Since we're talking about purpose, I know you covered it a little bit, but do you guys maintain a production calendar? You're not chasing the algorithms, but do you wing it nonstop, or how are you making this work?
So we have a production calendar. We don't stick by it. Like I said, I wanted to feel like I was retired. So, if it's like we're too busy right now and we didn't have time to edit, we don't just push something out to push it out. So like I have a calendar and that video just gets kind of pushed to the next week. I do know what's coming out for the next several months now at this point, things that we need to edit and get out and everything. But again, it's about living and enjoying this life first, and that's secondary. So, when things come up or it's a nicer day, we're going to go out and hit some trails or, do something outside instead of sit in the RV and edit, which again, I know we are very fortunate to be able to do. But I think that you also have to kind of make that buffer, even if you do still have to make the money to make your content work that way. I think you need, if you're working it on such a tight line to where it's like, if I don't get this video out, I'm not making my bills, you need to step back and probably do something else, because that is going to show into your content. Your content is going to feel pushed. It's going to be, that nothing content that a lot of people do end up putting out because they needed a video this week. And, I hope that we're never doing that. I suppose there's some people that probably do look, and maybe even the camp landing video goes, oh, why'd they do that? That seemed like a nothing video. But there is always a purpose for us, and maybe there is for those other people too. But we're willing to skip. I think it's been a couple weeks since we put anything out on YouTube right now because we're really traveling pretty fast from Seattle down to New Mexico, but faster than we normally like to travel. So
we also have some in the hopper. We're just waiting for the Explore Act to pass because it's national parks, and obviously we can't put anything out like that is commercial right now. So we're hoping that gets passed real soon, actually, for everybody's sake.
And while we don't feel like what we do is commercial, I think the law probably does. So.
Your RV adventures are worth sharing. With an RV Life profile, you can connect with a community of RV enthusiasts, engage in meaningful conversations, and inspire others on their journey. It's not just about where you go, it's about the memories you make and the people you meet along the way. Start sharing your unique RV experiences at rvlife.com.
So you mentioned some rules and breaking rules, and I think I might end up titling this episode about breaking rules, maintaining the content calendar and keeping the schedule and chasing the algorithm. That's one of the rules. What other rules do creators need to break, Angela?
Number one would be not putting out content when they really don't have anything to say. You prepare for a presentation. If you're giving a presentation for funding on a business or whatever, you prepare for that and you always have something to say. It's not like the first thing they teach you in business school. It was early on for me anyways. You don't open your mouth unless you have something to say, and answers to give. So I think that first and foremost, you don't just need to make the video of, I can't even think of an example, and I wouldn't want somebody to take offense to that. I'm
sure
pushing on them, but you want to have some kind of value to offer people with every bit of content that you do. So like with the camp landing thing, I felt like we offered value with the history that's there, that a lot of people don't get the opportunity for that history. Camp landing is in pretty rural Florida, and a lot of people will never get by there to even, they had a museum, but a lot of people will never get by there. If they do get to the museum, they won't get the base access to go around and talk with this historian and that historian access and everything. And, you want to offer some bit of value and not just repeat what's already out there too.
A couple other rules that I'm thinking of is I see a lot of people really focusing on the thumbnail, and you got all the thumbnails with the wide open mouth and the pointing at the thing and the big words. Or the other rule might be, checking your analytics daily. Are you guys playing the thumbnail game and A/B testing and doing that sort of thing, or checking your analytics regularly?
No. I spent years looking at so many different companies' analytics, and I'm over it. I pay attention to maybe like once a week, I look at how many views something has and what the average watch time is. Other than that, I'm not obsessing over it. I just think that you can go too far down that rabbit hole and get too far away from what your passion is and try to make it for the tribe that's found you so far rather than the tribe that will find you because of your passion. That I think that it's not healthy either. to focus so much on every bit of those analytics. It won't be healthy mentally for you. You can justify and think 100 different ways, and you're probably wrong. If you focus on your passion, your tribe finds you.
And we've seen so many thumbnails where it looks, it's clickbait or whatever, where the thumbnail does not in any way relate to the video. We try to be as authentic as we can, in what you see in our thumbnail is what the video is about.
Yeah. And what he just said about be as authentic as you can, when you pull that clickbait too much, there's a few creators that we're just like, YouTube might suggest it because they've had a popular video, and we're just like, no way. They have given us false promises too much through that clickbait that maybe they do have a great video now, but I'm not interested anymore because I thought I was getting one thing and got another too many times, and I'm done. My time is valuable, even at retirement.
So that can come back to bite people, and it comes back to being genuine and remaining genuine. Mm-hmm. And real quick about the analytics thing, some of the greatest insights I ever received from, looking at analytics on our content was by not looking for a month or two, and then going back and just seeing any particular trends rather than dialing in real tight on one particular metric. So enough of that talk. Do you guys have any favorite apps for doing what you're doing, either project management or writing, or what are you using to produce videos? What kind of tools are you using?
I use Notion for our travel planning and our content planning. And then it's easy to push it off to the next week. But our travel planning starts in there, and I'll have where we're headed, and then all the things that we're going to do, because I research pretty well when we go anywhere, and really try to dive pretty deep into past this is the number one restaurant from TripAdvisor, and so we're going there, and we definitely don't do we had 3 restaurants while we were in that town, so these are the best 3 restaurants you can have while you're in town X. I dig pretty deep and try to get in deeper with what locals actually want. Like, we are in New Mexico right now. I used to live in this area. So, I don't think any of the restaurants I'm taking you to would actually be in the top 5 of TripAdvisor, at least, because we typically like the more hole in the wall, like around here. I want to go in where the abuela is in there cooking, or at least it's her recipes that were passed down, the very small mom and pop places.
Our favorite restaurant in Key West is actually in the back of a laundromat.
Yep.
It's Sandy's, and it's got the greatest Cuban sandwich I think we've ever had.
Yeah.
But it's literally this small little sandwich shop in a laundromat. You're not going to find it probably on Yelp or TripAdvisor.
Yeah. I joke that he doesn't have to take me to the white tablecloth places. He has to take me where they launder the white tablecloth. And that's where I wanted to go. So when I say we try to dig pretty deep, we dig pretty deep to find the locations. But within Notion, then, it'll say Santa Fe, and these are the places, the things we're going to do, so that we can kind of plan out. And I go in and I put, like, these are the days they're closed, or these are the hours, so we can start planning our routes, because we kind of do the hub and spoke thing. Since we are in a fifth wheel, you're not moving around a fifth wheel as often. So we find one hub, usually on a military base because of his service, and then just spoke out from there. So that kind of helps that way. And then each one of those items can become a piece of content. So each one of those items can then be tied to what type of content it is, go into a calendar, and Notion is great for that. Other than Notion, Final Cut to edit, CapCut if it's a reel or on our phone, of course, I think everybody's using CapCut these days. I'd like something else to come around, but it's not yet. And that's pretty much it. Like, we really try to keep it. Notion probably isn't very flexible and easy, but it works well for our travel planning too that way. So we really try to keep it easy.
So you mentioned kind of content and destinations. Which comes first when you're planning either a project or a route?
Destinations come first. Even when we looked at Sop Choppy for the Worm Grunting Festival, I saw their logo on social media, and it was like these worms with bright red lipstick and top hats. And I was like, I've got to go to this festival. And it was obviously, then it was like, oh, this will make a good video for other people too, because it is unique, but definitely not something people are searching for. Just to be clear, it's not hitting any search algorithm. It's just kind of there. But again, it's your tribe will find you, but it's definitely the locations and then content for us, because again, first and foremost, we want to appreciate the fact that we get to do this lifestyle. None of us know how long we have on this world, and I don't want to push it off and not see the things we want to see, because, well, if we would have went to this state instead, we would have picked up some great content.
So traveling as a couple together, you have content, you have destinations, you live together, you work together. Do you both do everything, or do you stay in your own lanes? How do you stay sane and live and work together and divide the duties? Or do you?
She does most of the editing, and then I'll once she kind of gets what we call like a rough cut together, then she'll say, let's watch it together, and then I'll offer any suggestions or whatever, and then that's kind of when we'll finalize the video.
We both write.
When it comes to the voiceover part in the video, if it's a voiceover, once we got the video done, I'll kind of write a script, for lack of better words, and then I'll ask for her input, and then we'll refine that too. So she does most of the video editing. I do a little bit more of the voiceover script writing, if you will, but we definitely collaborate as we put it together for a final product.
And as far as the RV itself and the trip planning, I do most of the trip planning, ask for feedback, and he handles the driving and the
My
and the
job
RV.
is to get us there. I'm the driver.
Sounds familiar.
RV. Yeah. So I set the RV up and take care of that while she plans everything and takes care of whether it's tickets, whether it's like with some of the national parks now, you need the early entry and all that. She handles that logistics part, and I just make sure we get from point A to point B as safely and as efficiently as possible. And
all those logistics are in my Notion, so that I can look easily and don't have to go to websites 100 times. It's in Notion. He doesn't use Notion, so it's printed out on the refrigerator right now. So that he knows what we're doing while we're here.
So, Angela, you mentioned your tribe finding you quite a bit, and you mentioned some ways to get them to do that. But what have you found is the best way to engage with your audience and keep them hanging around?
I think it's just being you. They found you for a reason, and you can't forget who you are. I've seen with the work I used to do and more traditional entertainers, I've seen people really lose themselves in the process of their tribe finding them. And I think that it's very, very important that you never lose who you were originally, and be grounded and know that. My dad used to say, because of my work, he used to say, everybody needs that one person in their life that tells you you're being an asshole. And I think that's very true. And I think that, while you can't look at every negative content and say, oh my God, this is, and take it so much to heart, I think you do have to read and accept that was that person's feelings. And it might not be legitimate feelings, it might be, but I think it's also, you have to be so grounded in yourself that you're not going to change as success comes your way, and that's with pretty much anything. But I think that if you don't change who you are, then the tribe just becomes more engaged and just sticks around and wants to see more of you. They found you for a reason. They liked you. They liked your content. So you just have to maintain that and not change that on them.
I think that's a great point to stick in this episode. So what are you guys most proud of, and where can people learn more?
fittinginadventure.com and Fitting In Adventure on YouTube is where they can learn more. Most proud of, I think honestly that we're doing this for me. Like I said, it's been my dream since I was 7-8 years old. And, sometimes as we grow into adulthood and get responsibilities, we forget our dreams. And I think I'm most proud that I remembered my dream.
I think I'm most proud that we are able to share stories that a lot of people wouldn't have access to, or wouldn't, they're not in that area, that part of the country. So we're able to share the history or the story or, the fun anecdote of where we're at. So hopefully, and we try to be as positive as we possibly can in all our content too, to just bring joy, bring happiness, bring something that somebody hasn't seen, and hopefully they get something out of it. And, you know, for the 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long our video is, they're happy and they don't feel like they wasted their time.
I think that's the other thing is we try to keep the content shorter because I'm not trying to draw it out just for YouTube. In that case, you know, we want to share what needs to be shared. And, you know, that might be a 10-minute video. In the case of Camp Landing, it might be over an hour interview. But it's just, and I think that's something a lot of content creators can take too, is don't draw it out. Share what needs to be shared and move on.
And hopefully it'll ignite their curiosity. So if they do want to know more about a place that we were at, well, then they'll, you know, if they can't plan a trip, they'll read a book or whatever, you know, and watch another video for another content creator about that same place. And it just, they don't get bored from watching a video that we made that was too long. It just ignites their curiosity to go and explore it themselves.
You guys are planting those seeds to get people to go grow those adventures for themselves. So I'm proud to be able to share what you're doing, and I look forward to learning more at Fitting an Adventure. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm sure Angela and I could talk for hours about how much digital marketing has changed, but we came to a pretty quick agreement that to do marketing right in this digital age, you need to be yourself. I'm a firm believer that if you follow your passion with a goal to fulfill your purpose, you will do your work well. And when you do your work well, you will be rewarded. So whatever type of content you create, stop chasing those algorithms. Be genuine. Do what you want to do. Don't do it for the money, but do it because you believe someone out there will benefit from all your efforts. And believe me, they will. Your tribe will find you. Keep being yourself, and they'll keep coming back for more. My co-host and I hope you'll come back for more of the RVE Podcast. So drop by the RV Entrepreneur Community group on Facebook to let us know what you want to hear, or reach out at therventrepreneur.com. Meanwhile, go fit some more adventure into your life. Or go fit your life into the many adventures out there on the open road.
Can you hear the giant voice from the military base?
We'll cut that out.